Let's take the conversation away from South Africa and see what's been happening in East Africa. We have Daron Bartlett, who is joining us this morning to analyze the stories. Good morning, Daron. Good to see you. Let's start the conversation this morning from Rwanda. President Kagame of Rwanda, of course, alleged, and I quote, "This problem can be resolved if one country headed for elections next year is not trying to create an emergency so that the elections don't take place, not that he, Tshisekedi, won the first elections, as we know. If he's trying to find another way of having the next elections postponed, then I would rather he uses other excuses, not us." What does he mean by the statement?
Well, it's not the first time that Kagame comes out and points out, issues that have been in the media, him and the government of Rwanda, not only with President Tshisekedi, even before when President Joseph Kabila was still in power. The previous government accused Rwanda still for supporting M23, for supporting M23 to cause the kind of insurgencies that they have, the conflicts in the eastern DRC of Congo. When President Tshisekedi came into power, it became the same thing. They shook hands, became friends, and then eventually they had a disagreement, still saying that President Kagame is supporting M23, and they resolved that issue. But again, it came back in July when they had to go and have talks in Rwanda, and then again it's back again just last October here. Now, what he's trying to say is that they're trying to cause a distraction of an election that is supposed to happen. Let's look at the scenarios where, in case, let's just assume that President Kagame is right. Congo will not have an election because the biggest part of the country, which is the eastern part of Congo, people will not be able to vote. People are in two camps. People are running into Uganda. People are running into other countries like Rwanda itself. People are running into countries like Zambia. So Tanzania as well. It means that with that kind of population out of the country, you're looking at people in millions, about 20, 30 million people out of the country. It means that the election will not have, most people will look at it as it doesn't hold water because it's only a few people who are voting. And he's saying that when President Tshisekedi comes up and says that President Kagame and his government are behind the M23, he's just simply causing a distraction. But there's an interesting statement that President Kagame made on Wednesday while addressing Parliament. He said that the international community, he alleges that the international community actually knows what is going on in Congo, and they should have done much more to protect the people of Congo. However, they have ignored this. And if you look deep into that statement, you will realize that Congo alone has so many army forces in Congo that are not only Uganda, not only Burundi, which have already gone there, not the KDF from Kenya, but there are armies like those from Palestine, the armies like that of the UN. The UN itself has been in Congo for a very long time. And there was a question of how come there's this kind of security issue in Congo when the UN has been there for the longest period of time? Why so? So that means that the UN and the other international powers know what is happening in Congo, but they are trying to, they have not addressed that issue. That is what President Kagame is saying, on the other side. So it feels like Rwanda has been put on spot because, yes, the M23 are known to be the Tutsi, let's call them the Tutsi Congolese people. Tutsi came from Rwanda when there was a genocide. So these are people who ran into Congo and then became, rebels, and then they feel like they're fighting for their rights. They feel they need something else. They want to take over government and things like that. So because they have that blood that originates from Rwanda, they feel like Rwanda feels like they have been accused for supporting such people in fighting the government or causing destabilization in DRC. So those are quite tough words. How that ends is going to be a little bit interesting there.
But would you say that there might be any element of truth in those accusations that Rwanda truly is supporting the M23 rebels? Also because of the Tutsi Hutu angles to it. Of course, new clashes have erupted between M23 and the DRC forces. They had initially signed a truce agreement on the 23rd of November. So is there really a possibility that Paul Kagame has a hand in the violence that is going on in that region?
Well, Kagame has denied this, even when the UN comes up with a report, other different international communities have come up with reports to link the M23 to Rwanda, and they ask themselves, how come they got these sophisticated weapons? And they believe, because of the geographical location and also the people of the M23 themselves, when you look at them, they look like the Rwandese. But you see, Kagame one time made a media address, and actually it was a conversation he was having with a journalist, and say the problem of Congo, even when it has the M23 people, but to recognize the people who are the M23 people, they are Tutsi Congolese people. Yes, they came from Rwanda, ran into Congo, and when the Tutsi people went into Congo, they lived there for a long time. That means by international law or by any standards, when you live in a place for a very long time, you tend to acquire status of citizenship, or you become a national, basically a citizen of the country. But when you become a citizen of the country, then you're entitled to some, privileges as a citizen. And these people, the M23, according to Kagame, he feels like the Tutsi Congolese have to enjoy certain rights as well, the same rights that the Congolese people also enjoy. Could that be the reason why and how the M23 was formed? And these are the people who are trying to fight for themselves. Let me give a geographical example between Uganda and Kenya. They share a border that is called Busia. Now, Busia is a district in Uganda, and there's also a district called Busia in Kenya. But Kenyans call them counties instead of districts. You guys call them states. And they share the same people. People speak the same language. They cross border from border. Some of them share resources. Some have relatives in the other country. In fact, Uganda had a minister at one point who had a brother who was the vice president, Mudi Awori, in Kenya. So they are brothers, but share different nationalities. And so that is the case. That is something that Kagame tried to explain and say, these are just people who left the country, went into another country, and now they're fighting for their rights of existence, and they want to enjoy certain privileges in another country. So because they look like Rwandans, it doesn't make them that they are Rwandese, and it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it truth that he actually supports them. That is the thing that he says. So both of them deny, and then no one has access to, the M23 could come on table and have conversations, but they also don't disclose who exactly is supporting them. The question is always, who is giving these people this kind of weapons to go ahead and cause such an insurgency in the eastern part of Congo?
All right, let's take the conversation to Kenya. There's been an independent report by the Independent Medico-legal Unit on Tuesday, releasing a report, of course, on the just concluded elections in Kenya. Can you please share with us what the findings of this report are?
Well, the report was released on Wednesday, and the chairman who released that report pointed out interesting facts. Even when the report says that largely the elections were peaceful, however, there are some 85 incidences that were reported in this election, and some of them included abusive language, which contributed about 19%, disruption, which was accounted for at least 24%, bribery, which contributed to about 18%, hooliganism, vandalism, and voter intimidation contributed 22% of that. But the interesting part of this election, and as you all know, Raila Odinga and his camp, Azimio, were not satisfied with the election. They say that there was at least a group of people who were Ugandans, were ferried into Kenya, and that could have given an edge to the results that came out, or that gave an edge to Ruto winning by about 51.9, winning that election in Kenya. Now, whereas those instances were pointed out, at least the report says that largely compared to all the elections that have happened in Kenya, this was probably the best they had in terms of peace. The police was well prepared. There could have been cases of torture, kidnapping, killings. You could have known, or you know that one of the Independent Electoral Commission's commission returning officer was actually kidnapped and killed. on the day when they were actually counting these votes. So those instances could have happened, but not as grave as those that happened in the past elections, where we saw the head of the IT security systems was kidnapped and killed, and his fingers were cut off, and those kind of grave instances that happened.
It's just really, really, really graphic. I don't know. It's East Africa needs to calm down. That's what I would say, Daron. The whole of the eastern part of the continent needs to calm down. And I don't know, how true these rumors are. But the M23 rebels, the DRC, Uganda, Rwanda, all of that region, and of course the fears of international influence in some of all these crises also. Those things are really troubling, and we hope to continue to see a peaceful resolution to some of these issues, Daron. But thank you so much for your time. We look forward to speaking with you again, and we hope that it's better news next time you show up.
We hope.